This is the plaintiff, Keith Olson. He says he paid for a TV set, and his ex-girlfriend is holding it hostage and won't return it. Since he can't get his TV back, he has no other choice but to sue her for the set's value, $1,135. This is the defendant, Lindsay Bucher. She says she and the plaintiff have a son together, and when they were together, he bought her the TV as a gift. Now he wants it back? Too bad. She's accused of refusing to return property.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he paid for a TV set and his ex-girlfriend is holding it hostage. The ex-girlfriend says that the TV was a gift for her and her son, and she ain't giving it back. It's the case of TV crime.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Olson, talk to me. What's going on?
Lindsay and I were together on and off briefly in the winter of 2017, a little bit before. We do have a son in common together. My son, Gray, our son, Gray, born in August of 2017. At the time, we weren't together, but we agreed to raise the child as co-parents. And once he was born, I was a first-time father, her a first-time mother. I was spending a lot of time at her mother's house at the time, like 2 to 3 nights a week, to help with the child. And to make things more comfortable for when I was there, I furnished her mother's family room with a flat screen TV, a sound bar, and then a TV stand and bookshelf. We were there. I was there for 2 or 3 months while we were getting acclimated to the newborn. Again, only a few nights a week as needed to help with the child. And then I had got my own place. Since then, we're still raising the child together. I've asked for the entertainment center back a few times.
Can I ask you a question? How old is the child now?
Yes, ma'am. He turned 3 in August, and he's a precocious 3.5.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. And can you tell me when was it? What months and year were you living there?
I was living there part-time, I would say, shortly after his birth in August 2017 through December, January of 2018. Again, okay. I had my own apartment.
And where has the TV and the TV stand and the sound bar been since December of 2018?
It's still been at her mother's house, the defendant's mother's house.
Why didn't you take it with you in December of 2017 or January of 2018? Why didn't you take it with you when you stopped staying at the mother's house if it's yours?
So I tried making several different attempts to say, hey, at some point I'd like this back. We kind of were more focused on the child at that point. And now that we're...
Well, y'all better be able to focus on 2 things at once. So according to you, Ms. Bucher, it has nothing to do with, we were focused on the child. It's that he's mad at you now. Tell me what your version on all this is.
Yeah, so Keith is correct. He did buy the TV for me in 2017 after my son was born, and he was staying there occasionally to help me. Sometimes we would stay at his apartment. But then, we've since had our ups and downs and are now litigating over custody of our child. And that's really what has sparked him wanting the TV back is the custody.
Whose TV is it?
Issues.
Whose TV is it? It was a 55-inch TV that he bought in 2017. Whose TV is it?
Right. It's my TV. He bought it from me because my TV was broken and helped me get rid of the other one.
Okay. Right. Okay. And when was the first time, according to you, that he ever raised wanting it back?
He texted me a few months ago asking for it, and I said, you bought it for me.
Is this the first time? Was a few months ago?
Yes, since, after the custody dispute started.
All right.
I don't remember the specific date, but I remember him texting me about it.
But it was after the custody dispute came up. And why is there a custody dispute? It sounded like you two were very effectively co-parenting until now. What was it that happened that resulted in a custody dispute?
So we were co-parenting amicably. But unfortunately, there was a lot of, I was becoming a glorified babysitter where I could remain involved with the child, but it was whenever she was working or working per diem, picking up extra shifts. If I had wanted to take him for extra time for my family events, it never, it wasn't important if she didn't have anything else to do. So it started to feel more like leverage. So then I was like, okay, this is serious. I actually was the one to say, let's go to court and let's get this solidified. In the meantime, the reason why it took so long for something like this to come up is because I was more focused on, okay, the parenting plan, the child support, which I'm paying full guideline.
You realize though that that's a very weak argument. Very weak, because it's 3 years later. So it's extremely weak because you can focus on two things at once.
I
Because if you can't be a parent. Okay? It's so the idea that, the reason I never asked for it before a custody battle was because I was so busy parenting. Yeah, you got to parent and you got to do a million other things too. If it was really yours, it feels to me, if it was really yours, it feels to me like you would have taken it with you when you were no longer staying there. I don't care that you bought it. That's just a receipt that says you paid for it. There's no question you paid for it. She doesn't claim she paid for it. Whether it's really yours is my decision based on the circumstances. She says you were staying there. You say you bought it for yourself because you wanted to be comfortable the few days you were staying there. She says you bought it for her because her TV was broken and it's hers. So when I'm trying to figure out who it belongs to, little things like whether you took it with you when you stopped staying there matter. Little things like whether you brought it up before the custody battle matter when I'm trying to determine which of you is telling the truth, right? They matter.
I understand.
And
I thought that would be nice. That would be being the gentleman of the thing. And then fast forward a year and a half later, and she is going for everything under the sun. And I mean everything under the sun.
That actually proves my point. What's happened is that you're angry now, and so you're saying. But my only call, I'm not the custody judge. I'm looking for a little bit of justice.
I'm looking for just a little bit.
I know, but you're not going to get it here. You're not going to get it here. But you should get it in custody court. Because you're right, you're not a glorified babysitter. You are the father. You are 50% in charge of that child. So that's where you get your little bit of justice. Where you don't get, what you don't get is to get angry about whatever's happening in custody court and then claim something that was a gift because you're a gentleman. I'm a gentleman, it was a gift, but now I've changed my mind and now it's mine and I want it back. That's not how it works. If you actually gave it to her because you're a gentleman, then you gave it to her. And you don't get to have it back because you guys are having other problems now. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Your Honor.
So the defendant prevails in this case over the TV set. I think the plaintiff is rather upset. Let's see. How do you feel, Mr. Olson?
I mean, I think there was a lot of bigger context that wasn't taken into consideration. And unfortunately, I think some of that was lost in the presentation, and unfortunately, the mother of my child, even though I'm doing all these other great things, she won't even let me have my electronics back. So, justice.
Well, as the judge pointed out, custody court is where this can be ironed out for sure, for a final answer on it. Let's see what Ms. Bucher has to say about it. How do you feel, Ms. Bucher? I would imagine you're relieved you're going to be able to keep the TV, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad to have this issue settled and it to be something that we don't have to argue about anymore.
Okay. Let's find out now what the judges have to say about this. They hear cases like this a lot. So let's get another edition now of After the Verdict.
When you go to family court and you're in a contentious paternity or custody battle over time sharing and the monies that are going to be paid for child support one way or the other or both, there's a lot of rancor sometimes, and I think that kind of bled over into this suit, and what looks a whole lot like a gift
from a gentleman.
Right, is suddenly, hey, I never meant to give you that.
Right. It boggles the imagination that he would have left it there for 3 years until the time when she was winning in paternity court.
He did have a decent looking screen right behind him too in his room there. I don't know, maybe it wasn't 55 inches, but it was a good.
I hope these folks put this behind them and can finish arguing about whatever they really need to argue about and just kind of move on. But this is where they had been so good at co-parenting all this time. First of all, like the first words were, "Let's have the baby and co-parent."
Right.
It's just such a shame that it ended up, that rancor ended up, coming up over 2017 TV,
right,
which really represents that he just wanted to win one.
Hey, Harvey. There are traffic cameras, and they've popped up all over the place. Are the tickets they send you in the mail legal or valid? That's a great question. There are cases in traffic court where people have challenged the calibration of these, and that's one way of doing it, to say, look, if these things haven't been checked, they're not reliable. But for the most part, I will say, you're stuck if they get you. We'll see you next time.